Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please feel free to stick around and subscribe. Go back and watch all of my other videos. On this channel, we use this massive TV to break down some vision. We talk about the game, why teams won, why teams lost, why some players are good, why some players are really good, but we use the vision to help sort of illustrate all of these points. Today, we are just doing a very simple 2025 AFL Grand Final prediction. Now, I've been spending my entire week so far just watching vision and consuming all of the stats and the shows and the expert analysis and the opinions. And I've listened to everything. I've watched every game. I've taken every note. I've done everything. And I'm still like 60-40 on my prediction, which is good. That means we have a really good grand final ahead of us. Because either Geelong are going to win and they're going to be probably the best team of the last 3 decades, which they probably already are, or Brisbane are going to go back-to-back. It could have been 3 in a row, considering they only lost to Collingwood by, a couple goals. And they will get better next year. I said this about Brisbane last year when the season finished. I said Brisbane going into 2025, after the 24 flag, were going to get better. Well, Brisbane going into 2026 after this year are just going to get better with the young talent they have, the players that they're rumored to be bringing in, the academy kids that they're going to get. They're just going to get better. But enough of this jibber-jabber, enough of this just trash talk. Let's get into the prediction. So, if Brisbane are going to win this game, there's a few key points that I think they're going to need to have. Firstly, they are going to need to dominate possession. When I talk about dominate possession, I'm talking about they are going to need their uncontested mark game to be through the roof. They are going to need to starve Geelong of the football. If Geelong get their hands on the football at even a 50-50 rate, I think Geelong are going to be too powerful, too strong with ball in hand for Brisbane to be able to cope with so many entries inside their forward 50, so much possession. They need to dominate the football on Saturday. The second point, they need to score from the back half. This is Brisbane's biggest weapon. It's the players like Wilmot, it's the players like Zorko, it's the players like Jasper Fletcher. These are the players for Brisbane that have to get really involved in the game. Now, the issue is that Geelong's biggest strength is probably their forward half turnover game, their forward half pressure game. And to score from the back half, Brisbane are going to need to take a lot of risks. They're going to need to bite off kicks that a lot of players wouldn't even think about taking. But if you're going to score against this Geelong defensive structure, these are the kicks you're going to have to take. And if you're going to score from the back half, those are the decisions that you're going to have to make. The next point, Rayner, Bailey and Loman are going to need to combine for 7+ goals. It may not be specifically these 3 forwards, but if you swap one of these out for a Gallup or a Logan Morris, their forward lines, there's going to need to be 3 of them are going to need to kick 2 or 3 goals each to win this game. I think they're going to need to put up a very competitive score here. If Brisbane are going to win, I think their forward line is going to need to fire. I don't think they can win in a low scoring defensive slug. I think they're going to need to win in a little bit of a shootout, and to do that, these 3 players are going to need to get involved in the game, and specifically, they're going to need to get involved on the scoreboard. Now, the final point, McCluggage, Dunkley are going to need to combine for 18 clearances. Again, it might not be specifically these 2. It might be one of their other midfielders that rolls through there. It might be a Zach Bailey. It might be a Will Ashcroft. But they need to dominate clearances. If Geelong get the ball inside their forward half with genuine one-on-ones from clearance, Geelong are going to score too often. So Brisbane need to get the ball in their front half. They need to be able to control the football. And the best way to control the football is to win clearances, win contest, win stoppage. And I think the most important man in that is the first one here, Hugh McCluggage. We saw him get tagged against Oisin Mullen in that semi-final when they first played a couple of weeks ago, and he was completely tagged out of the game. Now, this week, he knows that's coming. He can prepare for that. They can train for that. I'm sure Brisbane have been training with Hugh McCluggage with a tagger, playing on him at pretty much every training drill this week and last week. So he should be used to that amount of attention now. But these 2 are going to need to combine for a massive amount of clearances. And if Brisbane are going to win, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be 104-93. And the Norm Smith medal down here, it's a bit of a rogue one. It's a bit of a left field one, but Jasper Fletcher. I just think that Geelong are going to put a lot of time into Dane Zorko And like this second point, I think they're going to need to score from the back half a lot. And the way to be able to score from the back half is through players like Jasper Fletcher, especially if Geelong put a lot of time and energy into a player like James Orkin. Now, the first point here is dominate possession. Jasper Fletcher does play a position on that half-back line, on that wing line, where he's going to get used in a lot of handball chains. He's going to get used in a lot of uncontested mark games. So if Brisbane can dominate possession and score from the back half, Jasper Fletcher is going to have to be a massive part of this. I think he's a really quality player. He uses the ball well. So that is my Norm Smith medal prediction for if Brisbane are going to win. But notice the word if, when Geelong win this game, because I do think the Cats are going to win the 2025 Grand Final. And there's just certain things in their game that I don't think Brisbane can stop. I think the margin, I don't know how to explain this super clearly. I've been trying to think of how to explain it, so just give me a little bit. I think the margin for error for Brisbane is so small. So the percentages that they're going to have to pull off are so small. The gap in the game for them is going to be so small, which means the probability of that happening, in my opinion, is just so small. Whereas I think Geelong have a larger amount of ways to win. I think they can win in a low-scoring slugout. I think they can win in a high-scoring shootout. I think they can win by controlling the football. I think they can win by defending. I just think they have so many more avenues to winning against Brisbane than Brisbane have avenues to winning against Geelong. And that is really the only reason why I'm picking Geelong, because I do think Brisbane have a really, really good chance to win this game. But when Geelong win on Saturday, they're going to control the time in the forward half. So we saw the last time they played, they just dominated inside 50s. They dominated time of possession inside the forward half. And that's just that turnover game. That's that pressure game. That's those repeat stoppages. That is just the ability for Geelong to just control the ground, let their defenders set up, let their defensive structure work itself out behind the football and set up inside of the Geelong half and make it really hard for the Lions to move the football. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to win clearances, especially centre clearances. That is when they're going to be at their most dangerous. If Geelong can win clearances, when Geelong win clearances, especially those centre clearances, and they can get the ball inside their forward 50 to genuine one-on-one opportunities with players like Danger and Jezza and all of the other plethora of forwards that they've got inside that forward 50, I don't think the Brisbane Lions will be able to deal with that. So when they win clearances, Geelong will be able to score at will, in my opinion. Now, Manna and Cameron are going to combine for 5 goals. It's just what's going to happen. There is going to be a small forward get off the chain, and in my opinion, I think it's going to be Manna. Mostly because I think Brad Close is going to go and play a semi-negating role on Dane Zorka, and we've seen Myers over the past couple of months move up into the midfield, but also move as the link in the chain of their defensive 50 to forward 50 transition. He's not necessarily playing deep inside the forward 50 anymore, so he's not getting that many opportunities in front of goal. And then Stengel usually gets the best small defender, so I assume he's going to get the Brandon Starcevic unless Dangerfield's down there. So I think it is going to be a Manna and Cameron sort of operation on Saturday. And I think Zach Guthrie's going to have 20 plus disposals. And this is because without Tom Stewart, Geelong are going to need that intercepting player, that aggressive running halfback. And I think what Zach Guthrie did last week when Tom Stewart did go down was he really grew into the role as the aggressive ball-using halfback in that second half. And I think some of the plays that he was getting, 1-2 clearances, those follow-up handball receives, and he can play as a genuine intercepting marker against a slightly smaller forward line in Brisbane when Logan Morris and Ty Gallup aren't necessarily huge players. So I think Zach Guthrie is going to have a really good rebounding halfback game. I think Geelong can win relatively comfortably. I think the game might be over with 10 minutes to go and Brisbane might stack on a few goals towards the end. But North Smith medal is Sean Manna. We know he performs in the big games, and I think he's so often the forgotten forward. I think he's so often just the forward that gets lost in transition. He pushes himself up to stoppage and he just gets lost on the way back. And these are the sort of players that often win Norm Smith medals, are the players that you don't really think about. Think about like a Will Ashcroft. You don't necessarily think about him. Think about a Bobby Hill. He wasn't necessarily the highest rated small forward going into that game, but It's these players that get forgotten that just need their moments. It was Isaac Smith out on the wing. It's these players that can find space, that can find time, that make a really big impact on the game. I think Sean Manners is one of those players where he can push himself up to stoppage, he can get lost in the contest, and then he just finds so much space on the outside, so much space in transition. And if he can hit the scoreboard and kick 3, maybe 4 goals, along with 20 touches, and how good his ball use has been over the past few months, if he can set up a few goals as well, which I think he can, that's a very good stat line. It's a very good performance to be a very good chance to win the Norm Smith. I don't want to go anyone super obvious like a Jeremy Cameron or a Paddy Dangerfield. I want to go a little bit left field with Jasper Fletcher and Sean Manners. But I do think that when Geelong win on Saturday, Sean Manners is going to be the Norm Smith. Those are my grand final predictions. But let me know who you think is going to win this game, and I will see you all on Sunday for the grand final game breakdown review. I will probably be a little bit under the weather considering I've got a big day on Saturday, but I will still get the video out very early on Sunday morning so you can wake up after your grand final parties and you can understand why a certain team won. In my opinion, it's going to be Geelong, maybe it's going to be Brisbane, but let me know your predictions down in the comments. Please feel free to stick around and subscribe, and I will see you on Sunday morning. Cheers.